I am the first, first generation, first in my family to pursue a college education, and wanting the best outcome. Of course, it's like doctor, lawyer, business person. Tried being a doctor, hated it. Went to law school, dropped out, hated it. And then after that, I had a friend who was working on the marketing team at WebMD. And she said to me, you don't know this, but you've got this magnetism about you, and you have a way of just commanding people. Like you have a presence. And I wonder if sales might be for you. And so she referred me in, and I went through 8 rounds of interviews for an ad sales job, knowing nothing about advertising or online business or tech or even working in corporate, because up until then I'd worked nonprofit and legal.
Wow.
And that experience cemented, if nothing else, my capacity to sell myself because I went through 8 rounds of interviews and I got a job offer.
All right.
An entrepreneur is someone that has a share of the business
Mhm.
and operates and functions as someone who holds themselves accountable for their shares of the business,
Hmm.
right? And so the context for that is coming up in the tech industry. It's no secret that part of the incentives that you see, well, for working in tech include a salary and equity in the company or options, right? And so when you think about it, if you're receiving shares in the business, that means you own a piece of it, right? And if you own a piece of it, then the way that you show up needs to be aligned with that rather than having a passive experience and just clocking in and clocking out. Be on court, let go of the title, let go of the ego, and just assume and claim the title of being a boss in this business and show up like one. The mindset shift, right? As I kept going up, up, up in my career from, from selling mid-market to enterprise sales, um, what I came to realize is that it actually takes the same amount of anxiety, effort, process, resources, etc., to close a $200,000 deal as it does a $20 million deal. The difference is my capacity and my self-awareness and self-confidence, that swagger that I really only developed from, again, all the experiences that I had messing up deals, getting the feedback, fighting against all the things against me to, get my place to the starting line of the race. The mistakes that, I experienced with customers, the fumbles, et cetera, like all of that conditioned me eventually to get to a place where I was comfortable in my process and I just needed to trust that it would help me and that I would succeed moving on to bigger accounts. Had the website together, had the offer together, sales pages, the emails, everything like set up and running. I was like, yes, I've got this, right? If you build it, they will come. And I built it, and then no one showed up.
Yeah.
No one showed up. It was like, okay, I'm not competing against anyone. It's just me at the starting line of this race, right? This is a solo marathon that I'm about to go on. And in my fever to
Mhm.
get started and to get everything looking just right, I overlooked the fact that like I didn't have like an email list or a following or anything. I was starting from scratch,
Yeah.
right? Because I was got the LLC set up, got the accountant, all these things going on in the background because I thought I knew how to run a business. But it is very different when you are out here putting yourself out there, and there are probably 1,000 ways to crack this egg. The same person that I might be engaging with, right, will
Mhm.
spend their time on LinkedIn differently than on Instagram. And so when I engage with them on LinkedIn, I'm offering advice. When I'm hanging out with them on Instagram, we're sharing memes. And it's the water cooler versus the boardroom, right? And when you think about engaging with your colleagues or coworkers or customers in everyday situations and physical spaces, yeah, there are moments where you button up because it's time to do business, and there are moments where you let your hair down. And so
Mm.
I have to think about how to create those experiences in virtual settings, and that's ultimately was my approach. I had a different presence on each channel,
Mhm.
but I was engaging with the same pool of business owners who were on these platforms for their own marketing needs or maybe researching and sourcing customers for themselves. Start sooner, and it's going to be messy no matter how much you try. So just get used to that.
Hmm.
The younger me was like this perfectionist who had a 10-year plan.
Sure.
Again, I grew up in poverty, first in my family to receive an education. I wasn't going to blow my shot. Like I had a method. There was a way that I was going to continue to grow and come up in my career. And I think because of that, I delayed starting things, or because it wasn't the right time, or I didn't start because it didn't look right, or it was messy, or it wasn't perfect, right? But over time, I've learned the power of progress over perfection.
Hmm.
So if I could go back to my younger self, I would impart that knowledge on them and say, everything you want is going to happen. Everything that you deserve is already in motion. Start now.
If you enjoy this podcast, please make sure to subscribe. And to stay updated on everything that the Action Catalyst is up to, make sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Action Catalyst Podcast and on Twitter at Catalyst_Action. And thanks for listening.